Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. Firstly, thank you once again if you subscribed in the last week or so. It's been a phenomenal week of growth for the channel, up to just under 8,000 subscribers now, so thank you very much. Welcome if you're new here. If it's your first time watching a video, you're interested in politics, British politics in particular, please do consider hitting the subscribe button and joining this community. We'd be very, very glad to have you. Now, a couple of videos ago, I asked you what sort of content you'd like to see coming out of the channel, and the one thing that came up the most consistently was we'd like to see the local council by-election content that you did when you first started, and quite right too. So we're going back to basics today. Back by popular demand, we're going to have a look at some local council by-elections that happened last night, which was the 28th of August 2025. Only two, so it's going to be a fairly short video, although we are going to look into some of the implications of that second result there in particular, and that's where those huge problems for the Prime Minister are going to come in. But we'll get to that shortly. So firstly, Nottinghamshire, Broxtowe, Nuttall, Eastern Strelly ward. The Conservatives won here by very much the skin of their teeth. 5 votes was the winning margin, 0.4% in terms of percentage terms. The Conservatives held on. They lost 16.5 points off their previous efforts. Reform coming in second, hot on their heels, 28.3 from a standing start. So, as we've become used to seeing, really, from Reform, a pretty impressive performance from them, having not stood here before, straight up to challenge for the win, but not quite on this occasion. Interestingly, Labour here, even in a seat where they weren't really contesting and weren't defending, getting slapped with 20 point reduction on their previous result too, so down to under 20% for them, and indeed beaten and their loss largely due to the local alliance, Broxtowe Association. I think it is a Broxtowe Alliance, something like that. I believe mostly former Labour voters or Labour councillors, etc., who have formed this local party, and you can see plus 19.4 for them compared to Labour's 20.1 down. So pretty much all of that Labour vote going to the locals there, and Labour therefore finishing in a pretty miserable 4th place. So again, even though they weren't in the headline, very bad news for Labour. Conservatives will be very happy with the win. Look, I mean, like I say, it cost them 16.5 off their previous result, which isn't really fantastic for them, but to be honest, they'll just take the win and probably cheer that to the rafters, and I suppose so they should. They need all the good news they can get at the moment. So very close in Broxtowe. Conservatives win. Just before we move on, it's worth probably looking just at the nowcast. Now, as I always say, not by any means a perfect proxy, the nowcast for local elections, but just interesting to have a look, really. So Broxtowe, Reform projected to win it with a 7% margin over Labour. You can see Reform on 34.1%, Conservatives on 16.7% in the constituency as a whole. So perhaps with the numbers that we saw in the by-election here, perhaps a little bit of underperformance from the Reform Party, maybe, and a little bit of overperformance from Conservatives, but really this all comes down to ward level intricacies. So clearly this was already a Conservative ward, so Conservative votes a bit stronger there. Maybe Reform will be a little bit disappointed they couldn't win up here, but Conservatives hold on. And also worth mentioning, the Liberal Democrats didn't stand this time round, and they were worth about 6% of the vote, so perhaps the Liberal Democrats not standing actually helped the Conservatives to hold on there by not splitting the vote anymore. But that's that one. Moving on to the capital, the London Borough of Camden, West Hampstead ward, where the Liberal Democrats have ousted Labour in this seat. And this is where we're going to get into the implications and why there's trouble brewing for the Labour Party in general, but the Prime Minister Keir Starmer in particular. Lib Dems here improved by 15 points up to over 50% of the vote here in Camden. Labour again taking a big walloping, down 23.4 on their previous efforts. So again, big punishing drop in Labour's vote share. Nobody else really close. Greens and Reform, who weren't standing previously. Reform straight in at 7.2, Greens in at 7. Not obviously nowhere near troubling the scorers at the top end. Conservatives down 6 to 10.3 in an area of the capital they probably wouldn't expect to do too well in anyway. So Liberal Democrats taking a lot of votes off of the Labour Party, and so this is where I just want to get into this idea of why there's trouble brewing for the Labour Party. So we'll start by, this is my map, by the way, so I should have mentioned the previous graphics. This one here in particular, all on electionmaps.uk. You can go and check it out for yourself. Free website. I know I mention it every time, but for the new viewers, I really want to push this because it's not my content. I'm using their content, which is very, very professionally made and very easy to use and nice visually. So please do go and check out electionmaps.uk for yourself, where you can see all this for yourself. But this is my map. I've made this, which is why it's a little bit more tin pot, but we're tin pot and proud here. I just want to zoom in on the capital. So here's London and the surrounding area. Now all these colours are councils that are up for election next year in 2026, which includes all of the London boroughs. Now as you can see, Labour very much dominate the capital. You can see there's a lot of red there, as we see in the general election as well. The nowcast, even the nowcast today with Labour's much reduced vote share, London is still a very, very strong area of the country for the Labour Party. If we go to Camden, which is the one we just looked at, Camden, you can see, and this is updated with the numbers. So there's been the Liberal Democrat win in the by-election last night. Also, there's been a Liberal Democrat defection at some point since this election too. So the numbers are all up to date. 45 Labour councillors, 6 Liberal Democrat, 3 Conservative, 1 Green. So it's still very comfortably a Labour council. You can see there's a big majority there for the Labour Party, and the same goes throughout a lot of London. If we go to Redbridge Borough Council, and I have to apologise, some of the graphics are the wrong way oriented. I need to, like I said, it's tin pot. I need to sort it all out. Hopefully this will be sorted out for future videos. But places like Redbridge, heavily Labour. Barking and Dagenham is 100% Labour in terms of the council makeup. The same can be said for Lewisham, is also 100% Labour. But Greenwich, again, very heavily Labour, almost 100% there. Lambeth, I'm sure, is heavily Labour too, almost 100%. Hackney, very strong number, a huge majority for Labour there. Islington there, almost again 100% Labour. It's Labour plus 3 Green, so it's 100% left-wing council there. So you can see all these various boroughs where Labour are massively ahead of anybody else, not even close, nobody even close to challenging them. And so this is why I think there's big problems brewing for Keir Starmer, because the higher they go, the harder they fall, and the Labour Party are going to be open to big, heavy losses next year at the local elections in London and elsewhere, as we're going to look at in a moment. And this is where the trouble is brewing for Starmer. Now, Starmer will be the Prime Minister when this happens. I've very little doubt of that. I don't think he's going to be... It's very difficult to unseat a Labour Prime Minister. It's not the same as the Tories, and I'm sure that Starmer will be there in May. But this may well be the straw that breaks the camel's back. Now, we don't know what's going to happen between now and then, of course, but obviously things are not going well in the country at large for Labour as a party. Things are very bleak. And this may well be the straw, these elections might be the straw that breaks the camel's back if they go as badly as recent by-elections and indeed the local elections of this year in May suggest that they might. Because if the Liberal Democrats can start taking or become the refuge for the Labour vote in places like Camden, then the Labour Party stand to lose massively and the Liberal Democrats stand to gain massively. And it's not just the Liberal Democrats. I think the Reform Party will do quite well on the sort of more peripheral boroughs of London. I think like Redbridge, for example, is one where Labour currently have a big majority there, but we know that part of London and going out eastwards into Essex is pretty strong Reform territory these days. So I think in places like Redbridge, Reform will do quite well. We saw recently they won a seat off of the Conservatives in Bromley. Now this isn't up, I haven't updated the numbers for that, but Reform have a seat now in Bromley, courtesy of a by-election a few weeks ago. So that area, sort of east, southeast, northeast London, is going to be potentially quite ripe ground for Reform. Now it might be that Labour are so far ahead, such as in Greenwich, in Hackney, in Dagenham, and Barking, Islington, etc. It might be they're so far ahead that they're actually, with a big drop in their support, they're kind of cushioned, and they might hang on to control of these councils just with much reduced councillor numbers. Perhaps that will happen, but I feel that they're going to lose control of a lot of councils. Whether they go to overall control to other parties, I don't know, but I think a lot of these may well go to that grey colour, which is no overall control. And so Labour very much exposed in the capital, one of their last remaining heartlands in the country. And if we zoom out, so that's the capital we've looked at there, the country at large, you can see the other area of the party, of the country, sorry, where the Labour Party is going to be very, very much under pressure, is up here, Greater Manchester, around Liverpool and into Yorkshire, where we've looked extensively on the channel at the Nowcast, which shows, or has shown over the last year, all of this part of the country gradually falling from Labour towards the Conservatives and to the Reform Party, the Conservatives' wish, and that Labour vote has been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking into the metropolitan areas of the big cities of Manchester and of Liverpool and Leeds, but even the Leeds Reform have started to make inroads there now as well. So you can see, and up here the majorities are not quite as strong as they are in London. So Barnsley, for example, South Yorkshire, a strong Labour majority, but you can see nowhere near the sort of 100% levels that we saw in parts of London. And Reform are doing very well in Barnsley, as we know, and they have done for a while. So it's going to be an area that Reform look to really punish the Labour Party. Tameside, which is a much more slender majority there. Tameside is the part of the country where Ashton-under-Lyne, the Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner's constituency, falls. Slender Labour majority. We know Reform have been doing very well in this part of the world. So another area. Rochdale is another one. Healthy Labour majority, but not insurmountable. So you can just see, if we zoom back out again, looking at this map, you can see there is far more Labour defences up next year than there were this year in this year's round of local elections. You know, May this year was much more focused on the Conservatives, because the Conservatives were the big winners from 2021. This year, completely different. It's really Labour under the microscope. Far fewer Conservative defences coming up this time around, and so huge problems for Starmer, because the Labour vote is disintegrating. You know, we're seeing them drop 20% or so quite frequently now, and they're going to be massively exposed. And like I say, if these elections go as badly as recent polling would suggest they might, it may well be the straw that breaks the camel's back for Starmer's premiership. We'll have to wait and see. And obviously I'm going to be covering all this in the build-up. We're still a way away yet. A lot can happen between now and May of next year. As we get closer, I think I said the other day, from November onwards, going to start looking and building up to these local elections on the channel. So if that interests you, please do take the opportunity now to subscribe if you haven't already. And we will be covering all of that. So that's it for this week, because there was only the two by-elections. This video format is now back by popular demand, as I say. Next week we've got even fewer. Only the one next week. Award in Luton is up for grabs. Be interesting to see, though, because it was only a two-horse race last time. Liberal Democrat versus Labour, whereas this time there's going to be 6 candidates on the ballot paper. So there'll be an interesting splitting of the vote there. We'll see what happens. The week after that, we've got a bumper one on the 11th of September. Interesting parts of the country: Bournemouth, Bedfordshire, Cheshire, Glamorgan, Walsall, West Suffolk. So going to be a bumper one in a couple of weeks' time. So again, if you want to see that, please do subscribe to the channel. Please do like the video if you enjoyed it. It of course helps get the channel out there, get more eyes on the videos. And please do get involved in the comments. As always, I do very much enjoy reading your comments. I try and interact with you as much as I can as well. But that's it for this one. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on the next one.